Hey there, fellow horse lovers. Welcome back to the Daily Ride podcast. My name is Morgan. I am your host. And in today's episode, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Rebecca Gonzalez, or as she's known at the barn, Becky, who is the proud mom of Tansy, Pearl, and Stardust. Rebecca has been at the Air Force Academy for far beyond the years that I have been there and has really become a pillar of that community. She has since PCS to a new state for a new chapter with her husband. Being a military family, it was such a blessing to be able to share space and share in the same community with Rebecca for as many years as we had her with us in Colorado. And I was thrilled when she agreed to come on the Daily Ride podcast to share her story. Rebecca's relationship with horses, I think, is a unique one. Many of us have been blessed enough to get to grow up around horses. Rebecca, like myself, was not one of those people. She always felt that kind of soul calling to having horses in her life. But the way that God has provided horses to Rebecca and has used horses to work with her and through her is really spectacular to hear about. I have boarded Grace and now True with her horses, Tansy, Pearl, and Stardust, and had the pleasure of getting to know their personalities as well as a little bit about Rebecca over the years. And hearing her share her testimony of her faith and her horsemanship and the relationship is really a treat. And I'm excited to lift her voice up on this platform because she speaks so eloquently to so many different facets of horsemanship, from sacrifice to emotions to faith to the importance of just showing up and acceptance, and how this translates into who we show up as people, as well as horse owners. So I was really thrilled to be able to have this conversation with Rebecca before she moved. And I'm really excited to hear your thoughts as well. I just know that there is something that we touch on in this conversation that will resonate with anyone listening. As always, the Daily Ride podcast supports my nonprofit, True Heart Healing. True Heart is my own personal horse who I bought as a baby with the intention of raising and training her to help facilitate the transformational healing that can only occur between a human and a horse that Rebecca in this episode does such an excellent job explaining. Our mission with True Heart Healing, my nonprofit, is to leverage the healing power of that equine partnership and the joy of having an equine companion to help support and empower children with disabilities or life-altering illnesses, service members, veterans, and their families so they can build stabilizing relationships, facilitate their own learning and personal growth, find hope, and discover their own purpose in life. If this sounds like something you would love to get behind, True is now 5. We are daily working on our therapeutic skills together. We would love your support, whether that be emotional, cheering us on, rating and sharing this podcast, or financially by providing us with a donation. Please head on over to www.the-daily-ride.com to check us out. We have a variety of videos, of training sessions, a variety of partners in our community that we know and love to work with, and some of which we featured here in the podcast. And there's a lot of really exciting things in the future, and we would love to have you be part of it. Becky has such a giving heart and such a powerful story that our conversation is a lengthy one. Because of that, this is part 1 of 2 of our conversation. So make sure you check back in the next 2 weeks for the second part of our conversation together so you don't miss a second. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for being here. I'm struggling to decide where I would like you to start. So, how about we just start at the beginning? How did you get into horses? How did you meet Tansy?
So I rescued my horses back in the state of Kentucky, and I started out the Kentucky Horse Park and then kind of went into rescue of kind of the lower income areas, throwaway horses. And so going from thoroughbreds to that was quite an exposure. But the day I showed up to volunteer for the first time, this herd of horses had just come in, and
From where?
just down the street, just some guy that was known for hoarding, and it had gotten so bad that the horses had no food, no water, and they had been reported on multiple times. And so the state of Kentucky, you can't press charges against somebody for neglect or abuse if they surrender their horses. Like if they legally sign ownership over, you can't charge them with anything. So he signed this whole herd over. And it was a bunch of mares running out with stallions. So of course they were all bred. And there was this one horse, you know, brown and white paint with blue eyes. And they just told me that the people that ran this rescue, and it was their home, they said, hey, she just doesn't really like anybody, very skittish, not necessarily mean, but just really standoffish and just not a very warm or welcoming personality. And I just went right up and put my arms around her neck and just leaned into her. And she just took a deep breath. And I feel like that was like my first exposure to like natural horsemanship and bonding and relationship. And it was from that moment that I was like, I love this horse. Like, I don't know this horse. This horse doesn't know me, but I love her. And I would just go home and think about her. She was on my mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from the moment I met her. And it was truly love at first sight. And I really tell people that she picked me because she did. She, I kind of saw it as like a challenge, like, oh, she doesn't like people. And I just went up and hugged her, and it was like she accepted me, and the rest is history. So I didn't know at the time she was bred. She had a baby nursing on her, and really the goal was just to get her healthy and to get her adoptable. And at this time, like where I was in my life, horse ownership was not on the table. I was in beauty school. I made almost no money. My husband at the time was a struggling artist and not making any money, and we were barely scraping by. And the rescue was just like, look, she loves you. You love her. Like, you guys need each other, and we'll help you. We'll keep her here. We'll help get her healthy and better, but she's yours. And so they actually did an adoption contract and signed her over to me, and I was her legal owner. And that was wild to me. And I really just like, I felt peace in my heart about it. I prayed about it, and I just really felt like the Lord revealed to me, like, I'll provide. This is what I have for you. And it was within a couple of months that I realized that although I had grown up in the church, that my surrender of my life was not genuine, and that I was still had like a stronghold of control of just everything, just feeling like if I have control, I'll be okay. But the reality is when you let go of control and you let God kind of take the wheel, he just knows better, and he knows me better than I know myself. And he gifted me with the horse of my dreams in a situation where it really made no logical sense. And he has provided everything that I have needed, that I have felt like I can't give them, somehow mysteriously and divinely falls into my lap. Like whether it's I need food, or money for a vet bill, or a supplement, or someone who just can help me figure out a medical issue without having to call the vet out. Like, all those things have fallen into my lap and been provided for me without me even needing to ask for it. Like, it literally just falls into my lap. And to me, there's just no other explanation. So to see the inside of my heart and how messy and icky it was, and then to see this horse that comes in emaciated on death's doorstep, scruffy looking, mangy, like hair falling out, and just so sad looking and desperate for love and nourishment. That's what I was like inside. And so the combination of surrendering my life and giving it to Jesus, and rescuing this horse and giving her the physical things that she needed, and the mental and spiritual. Like, we were in the same boat together at the same time. And to watch her gain weight and get healthy and look at her rescue, like, that stuff does not happen on accident. Like, that was absolutely on purpose. She was designed for me, she was picked out for me, and then she was given to me. And I did nothing to deserve it. Nothing.
How did that breath that she took feel when you gave her that first hug? You said when you put your arms around her, she just breathed with you.
It was otherworldly, like it took my breath away.
That's so special. So you experienced that she recognized you as the person that was designed for her too.
Absolutely. 100% without a doubt.
And she had a baby already when you met her.
Yeah, we called it baby, which is not very creative, but
Do you know where that first foal went?
no, some guy adopted her for his grandkids. But what I do remember is that Tansy stood at the fence and cried for 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was heartbroken.
And people say they're big, dumb animals, and yet they have such intense, more than human emotions that we
Yes.
see.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I was at the property she came from. I saw babies that were put down on site. They couldn't be rescued. They couldn't get up. It was very graphic and bad. And I don't know how many babies that Tansy had before the baby that she came in with, but she is clearly very maternal. She's maternal with me. She's maternal with her babies. She's maternal with my baby. She's maternal with other people's babies. She's maternal with other horses. Like she's just, yeah, she's just innately very nurturing. And so to see her stand and cry for 3 days and just call out for her baby, like it broke my heart so much. And when Pearl was born, first of all, she wasn't supposed to make it. And second of all, she didn't look like she was gonna make it. But I told Tansy, "If this baby pulls through, I will never separate her from you. I won't separate you from another baby ever again."
You think she understood?
I do.
What was her reaction like?
Well, I mean, it's really more just the culmination of their relationship over the years. Tansy and Pearl are inseparable. They're incredibly bonded. They call for each other if they're without like, even if they're within eyesight, but I've taken one out and the other one is left in some sort of enclosure and there is a fence between them, they go crazy for each other. In fact, Pearl, when she was still very young and very small, she jumped multiple 4-foot or higher fences to get to like, ran, like, in the backwoods of Kentucky, was in the middle of the road like a dog looking for us because I had taken Tansy out and left her in the pasture. And she found a way to jump like a 4-foot, 4.5-foot, like barbed wire, hillbilly fence, but a fence nonetheless to get to us. So, and that happened twice.
Yeah, she always made a racket at the Air Force Academy when you go out with Tansy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was once was in Kentucky and once was actually at Flying W Ranch here in Colorado. I left her in like there was like a little arena with like obstacles and stuff. And I mean, we were within eyesight. We were right there, but she was just like, "Nope, I'm coming too," and jumped that fence and right down the road after us.
So, what was it like when you learned that Tansy was pregnant with Pearl?
And I mean, obviously, like you can't see what they look like or anything. You don't know anything about them, especially a rescue with no real funds to do anything at this point. So it was really just more important for me to get Tansy healthy and in hopes that the baby makes it, but knowing that in reality, the chances of the baby making it were fairly slim. And I got a call. So the vet came and checked her and they're like, oh, yeah, she's pregnant. Um, and they at this point, it was like she was rescued end of February, so this was mid to late March, early April, and they're like, based on their palpation, they, uh, told us that she would likely be due in, like, September, October, and I got a call on May 1st that she was in labor, and I was freaking out
So
because
you
I
were
was
thinking
like
it was a preemie.
I was thinking preemie, I was thinking, "There's no way this baby's gonna make it," and I was also thinking, "Tansy's too weak to do this." And I was more worried about I literally did a U-turn on the interstate and headed back to where the rescue was, in tears, freaking out, and my thought was, like, "The baby is 100% not making it, like, just and I might lose her." Yeah. So, it was that what my priority was Tansy making it and getting better, and if the baby makes it, that was when I kinda made the promise to Tansy, like, "I won't separate you 2." Now, initially, the rescue didn't let me keep the baby because when she came out and they saw that she was also a beautiful blue-eyed paint, they were like, well, we could adopt her out for a pretty penny kind of thing. And then they realized how sick she was and they literally gave her to me. And they said she was full term because foals that are born with hair on their tail and their mane are actually full term babies. So they were like, yeah, she's full term, but she was so skinny. I mean, her bones were jetting out from everywhere, just sickly. And then Tansy had no milk, so she couldn't drink. We had donated colostrum from a donor mare. We were bottle feeding that to her. And she was just so sick. She was having diarrhea. Pearl was just not doing well. And Tansy wasn't able to help at all because Tansy wasn't doing well. Tansy was so thin. She had lost a lot of blood. She had trouble passing the placenta. She was anemic. I actually stayed up all night in the barn with her that night. At one point, we had a bucket of water with electrolytes in it, and she practically drowned in it. Like I had to pick her head up out of the bucket because she was like inhaling water in through her nostrils because she was like passing out from the anemia and like her eyes were kind of floating in the back of her head and she was just not okay. We never separated them. Tansy and Pearl were never separated, but it was very touch and go. And Tansy was heavily medicated. They ended up having to sedate her to allow Pearl to even drink milk. And then they gave her a medication to help the milk come in better. But we were supplementing with formula and doing all the things with this little sickly foal. And I mean, the vets told me they were just very straight up, no sugarcoating. Like the chances of this baby making it are very slim. She's what they call a dummy foal. So she didn't know how to nurse. She wasn't nursing in the right areas. And it took a lot of intervention. I think what really saved her life was they actually did an injection of DMSO. She stunk to high heaven for like a week straight. It does a number of different things. I actually didn't know that it could be injected. I don't even know if that's something that they do here. Again, this is truly the backwoods of Kentucky. Not a nice area. And the vet clinic that actually serviced the rescue at the time shut down a couple months later. So, I don't really know how reputable they were, but DMSO is it does a lot of different things, but from what I understand, it helped certain receptors that didn't kind of fire off during delivery to kind of like kickstart those things and kind of more of a stimulant. Yeah. And she was bright-eyed. I mean, the moment she stood up, and it actually didn't take her long for how sickly she was just like, "Who are you? How are you doing? I want pets. I want treats. I want pets." Just she was in love with people from the moment she hit the ground. She's the same Pearl that exists today was the same Pearl the day she was born. I watched a lot of the other mares give birth and the babies just did not do well, and it was really sad to watch. Some of the moms didn't make it, some of the babies didn't make it, and I really if you ask me from the moments that I looked into Tansy's eyes multiple times and had conversations with her, I really think that Tansy felt like she finally had a reason to pull through. She had a lot of fear and anxiety back then. Like she was a very, very nervous horse, but she still had so much try every day. She was definitely the lowest on the totem pole. She was definitely one of, if not the thinnest mare that came in out of that herd. And I think that once she felt like someone cared about her, she was like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's funny because I had the exposure at the Kentucky Horse Park, but like at the horse park, people donate money and it's a nonprofit and it's like essentially a tourist attraction. These thoroughbreds have top of the line vet care and I mean, not every horse at the horse park is, but they're all very well cared for. They have an on-site farrier. They have the best vets in the country that are specific to equine. And they're just, I mean, they are to the T taken care of. And as much as I learned about horses there, I didn't learn about anything medical. Wormer, vaccines. I did learn about foot trims, but like teeth floats, didn't know what that was. Like all of that maintenance is done behind the scenes. So to get the horses that I got and not knowing about actual daily care or like what is required, what's needed, I mean, I was a little girl that was horse crazy, but the most exposure I really ever had was driving through the countryside, seeing a field and my dad saying, "Oh, look, it's horses." Like, and I honestly didn't want to even look up at them because I knew if I couldn't touch them or be around them, I didn't even want to see them. Like it hurt too bad to even look at horses in a field passing by, just because I wanted so desperately to be in their life and for them to be in mine. And it was an impossibility. When I got my horses and I was working with the rescue, it didn't take me a whole lot of time to realize that the rescue was not only in over their head as far as how many horses they had to take care of and all of that good stuff, but they didn't necessarily know the best. I think that they had good intentions. I don't think that they knew their limits. And I think that they were overzealous with the wrong motivation. Good intentions, wrong motivation. Just they did not have the resources, even remotely close to the resources to take care of the amount of horses that had come in rescued, plus their personal horses. So I said, hey, I'm a sponge. Like, I want to learn everything. Tell me all the things I need to know. If I need to buy a $5 tube of wormer, like, I will do it. You know, at the time I was in beauty school, I wasn't making any money, but I was willing to do whatever it took to get them healthy. I kind of tell people that, like, yes, my horses, I got them from a rescue, but ultimately I rescued them from the rescue because some lines got crossed, water got murky, and it just got to the point where I ended up feeling like the best thing for them was to move them off the rescue's property. And again, God provided. I got a field that I could keep them in for free if I helped maintain the pasture. Like, what in the world? So I moved them there. I had a couple friends that I knew through church, like, hey, I need help with this, that, and the other. And they're like, call this person. And so called this guy who's a equine dentist. And he's like, wow, your horses are still really underweight. They look like they're really wormy. They were covered in lice, bovine lice. So nothing I could get, thank God. But I ended up having to like exterminate them. Actually, I used like a weed eater sprayer and mixed like this solution that I got at like Tractor Supply or whatever. It made Tansy's hair fall out actually. She was literally pink. She looked like a pig. It was rough. Yeah. I really had to jump full force into rehabbing them myself because once I got them off of the properties or the rescue's property, it was apparent to me that they were not okay and that there was a long list of things that needed to get done in order for them to get healthy. And so it was like very overwhelming and I'm like, okay, where do I start? And that I think was where my passion started for rescue because I essentially was thrown to the wolves and had to do it myself. I had no other option. You know, bridges were burned and I was starting over without the rescue's help for the better, but really freaking hard. It faced discrimination. I called one of the top equine vets in the country out that service all of those thoroughbred farms in the area. And I just had one of their, newer vets come out and I'm just like, hey, I just want you to give me like a once over. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me where, like, I don't know what I'm looking at here. I'm brand new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. I need you to tell me what to do. And she really just did not give me or the horses a time of day because they're not papered. They've never won money. They're not super special. They're not super famous. And they just, to me, I felt like I was a small fry that really just didn't matter. And to her, it was more about, can this person get me money or whatever? And so it was very apparent to me that it was like my little small fry, nobody horses don't matter to her. And I was reaching out for professional help. And so I got really discouraged. The teeth floater, he helped me out a ton. He's like, go into Lexington, go to this feed mill, get this feed, give this much twice a day. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to come out and float your horse's teeth and take out her wolf teeth. She had like fractions of her wolf teeth like impacted in her gums. Like someone had tried and failed kind of thing. She was just uncomfortable. But yeah, so he came back out in 2 weeks. He's like, wow, girl, you really did good. Like they look awesome. And that way she could handle the sedation. And from that moment on, I asked him for help. I asked some of my clients from beauty school who had horses for help. Anywhere that I felt like someone was a decent person who genuinely wanted to help me, like I was willing to take their advice. And I just kind of pulled from every resource that I could to get more help, information, and all that good stuff.
Let's take a quick pause from today's episode to talk about the obvious for us horse owners in the winter months. Working with horses means putting your hands through a lot between holding the reins, fixing fences, mucking stalls, and just cold mornings at the barn. I've gone through a lot more gloves than I can count, and I'm really picky. It's hard to find a pair that I really love and can keep up. But recently, I think I found one, and they're called Bare Knuckles. Now, these aren't your average work gloves. They're made with a patented double wedge, pre-curved design that fits the natural curve of your fingers, so you get less hand fatigue and more grip strength. And this means you can go muck stalls, swing a hammer, or ride all day without that stiff cramping feeling that most gloves will give you. The premium leather is tough enough for the hardest jobs, but soft enough that you can still handle delicate tack or your tools. Plus, they're warm too. Their insulated pair is perfect for cold weather chores or trail rides. And honestly, once you put them on, you too will understand why they're called the best leather gloves ever made. Here's the best part. Bare Knuckles is partnering with the Daily Ride podcast to give you 15% off your purchase when you use the code The Daily Ride at checkout. Even better, 15% of your purchase using The Daily Ride at checkout will go directly to support True Heart Healing, my nonprofit. So if you've been meaning to upgrade your gloves, or if you need a great gift for someone else who works hard with their hands, go to buybareknuckles.com. That's BUYBEARKNUCKLES.com. Use the code The Daily Ride, no spaces. That's 15% off for you and 15% off donated to True Heart Healing. It's rare to find gear that works as hard as you do and supports a good cause. So next time you're saddling up or heading to work and think you need a good pair of gloves, think about Bare Knuckles and give your hands a little comfort for all that they do for you. So Pearl really came to you with just as many problems as Tansy did.
No, but once and she was slow to develop, like, she was small, she was on the small side, and you've seen her now, like, she's a normal-sized horse, but it really took her some time to catch up. It was like she was stunted, we always kinda said she was stunted. I think part of that is that she was not born healthy, and then part of that was I had no idea what I was doing, and in hindsight, I wonder if with the knowledge that I have now, if I could have done more for her in the early days when I wasn't really getting solid help from the rescue, if I could have done more for her, or I think that she was doomed no matter what, but I wonder if early on, if I could have done something a little bit more, maybe even just nutrition wise, like even just as simple as that. But at the end of the day, I really feel like there was a plan for Pearl's life and for me. And as bonded as I am to Tansy, I'm bonded to Pearl just in a different way. She's not connected to me at the level that Tansy is, but she has taught me endless lessons about life and about horse ownership, about patience, really like digging deep to find an answer to something, like just knowing her on such a personal level that like I can tell when she's not comfortable. I can tell when she's not happy, which is rare because she's very happy all the time. But generally speaking, I feel like she's helped me find a deep connection in understanding like what a horse is feeling and what they're going through, and when they're having a good day, when they're having a bad day, when they're having a great week or a great month. Being able to feel her under me, and that I don't know if you're familiar with the feeling of like feeling like your horse is going to explode, or feeling if they're just really calm, or feeling if they're like level-headed but excited. And I feel like Pearl has really helped me kind of hone in those skills. I feel those same things with Tansy, but and with it but I have a deeper connection with Tansy. So like for me, Pearl, everybody says, "Oh, raising a baby is hard." You have to teach them everything. It's just like having a puppy, except they're huge and they could really super hurt you. But, like, it's interesting because I saw the other babies born at the rescue, and some of them weren't interested in people, and some of them were more obstinate when, like, teaching them how to lead line, or, just halter breaking them, giving them their first bath, giving them their first foot trim, giving them their first shots. Like, all the things you have to do with a horse for their good and for their benefit, not even that have to do with riding, but just general horse care, took to it so easily. And I tell people all the time, like, she was such a first easy baby because I saw the other ones around that were more difficult. And so the difference between Tansy and Pearl is like Pearl has helped me as a horsewoman to do all the things and teach all the things that you need to learn. But like Pearl taught me too. Like I taught Pearl and Pearl taught me, and it was like a give and take thing. Whereas Tansy, when I got her, I was told that she was already quote unquote broke to ride. She had a lot of holes in her training. I think she was probably more cowboyed than anything. But Pearl, I started from scratch. Pearl is the way she is because of what I've done with her. Like naturally she's very sweet and everything, but like I could go a year without riding her and hop on and she's a perfect angel. And part of that is choices that I've made along the way. And so the reason that Pearl is different is because I had a fresh baby. And yeah, whereas Tansy, I feel like we've bonded because like she clearly went through trauma and then I've been through trauma in my life. And so like to me, Tansy is more a mirror into my soul, whereas Pearl is like kind of like a fresh start. Does that make sense? Yeah. And truly Tansy has taught me how to be a mom. Like I really thought growing up I was never going to have kids. Like I'm an animal person through and through, dogs, cats, horses. That's going to be my life. Goats, whatever. But then I had my daughter and I took to motherhood so quickly and I love being a mom. And I really think that a lot of that is like Tansy showing me how to be a loving, nurturing, caring, loving mom. Don't get me wrong, they have their flaws. Pearl nursed for way too long and Tansy freaking let her. And I think it's just like, I don't know, I kind of relate it to people who breastfeed like into their toddlers. And I like people see people nursing a toddler and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so ridiculous." That was Pearl. And like, mares are supposed to like naturally wean their babies. And Tansy's like, "It's fine. I don't care." And I just think that it was a little bit ridiculous and silly. I don't even think she was even getting much of anything. I think it was really more of a bonding thing. Just Tansy was just like, "Man, I really love this." And Pearl was like, "Yeah, this is great. I love to eat." So, yeah, and it just really showed me how nurturing and motherly and I just love that about her. And I mean, in some ways she did that with me, and then in some ways she gave me the confidence to be that. Like it's a little bit of both.
So, what are some of the ongoing concerns that you still deal with Tansy and Pearl to this day?
So when I got Tansy, she had a pretty decent scar on her right leg. It protruded out of her leg and it was around a tendon area. When I really started riding her and like trail riding, I would notice like a slight hitch in her step. At first, just being inexperienced, I wasn't sure if it was because she's gated or whatever. And I had x-rays done and her bones looked great and no one could really give me answers. And for not for the lack of trying, because I did try. I asked a lot of vets. I did a lot of lameness exams. No one could really give me a solid answer. And then I finally found Dr. Potter with Elite Equine and he came out and he's just like, "No, I really think it's this tendon issue. It looks like has an old injury. Let's sonogram it." And so we did, and the tissue was just not healthy looking. Like it was broken up and the texture of the tissue was not good. And he's like, "I think we have some options here and we could probably make something work." And so uh we did some injections, we did some shockwave therapy just to kind of like loosen up that scar tissue and promote some healing and some blood flow. And then we did the Renovo injection. And that actually like kind of super healed the tissue. And I would say where she was probably like 75 to 80% okay on that leg, she's like between 90 and 95% now. Like it'll never be 100%, but I think she's just overall more comfortable. And I mean, he's like, if we could have done this right after it happened or right when you got her, I think we could have probably had close to 100%. But like, this is great. So, and then her feet have always been mismatched, the front feet. And ever since I did that injection, they're almost identical now. So to see that she was compensating so much that her two front feet were so different to now that issue being mostly resolved and her feet leveling back out. For the longest time, I only rode her on one lead and now she can switch between both leads. And I think it's cool because like it's a way that I'm still learning, like she's still teaching me something new at 24 years old, which is wild. So the Renovo injection, it's newer. It's a stem cell amniotic fluid type injection. So it's essentially like supposed to be super healing. And you do it in conjunction with shockwave. So it's like stimulating the tissue and then they inject it right into the affected area. And so they use the sonogram to make sure that they inject it right where it needs to be. And I actually watched on the sonogram, I watched the tissue change as he was injecting it with the shockwave. It was insanity. I definitely recommend Dr. Potter. He's not closer than Littleton, but he'll come out to the academy, which is great. And he definitely knows his stuff. I mean, he watched Pearl, he nerve blocked Pearl, and just from watching her walk could essentially tell me what was going on with her. Obviously, we took an x-ray to confirm it, but everything saw from her walking was exactly what was on the x-ray. It was wild. He's very good at what he does. And he studied in Lexington for a time. Yeah. at the same vet that I called out the first time when I needed somebody, which is also silly. But yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
So, what's Pearl dealing with?
Well, Pearl was diagnosed with very severe advanced arthritis at 3 years old. That was from her abusers and neglectors starving her mom. And I knew at that time that she would not have a long life, that she would have a difficult life. And recently I have found out that her arthritis is so advanced that the kindest thing to do is to let her go. And we actually have that scheduled for a couple days from now, tomorrow actually. And it has been a very odd journey knowing that that is happening. Getting to plan it, I feel very fortunate that I've gotten to choose certain things, that it hasn't been an emergent thing. It's given me some time to save up for it. It's not cheap to put a horse down, especially if you want to cremate them. I've learned a lot about that whole process, but in the learning and just going through the options over and over and over and over again, and really just knowing that like this is the best and kindest thing for her, and that I knew this at 3 years old, and here she is at 12. She's 12. She's 12. She wasn't even supposed to make it 12 days. I'm very worried about her mom, very worried about Tansy. But we have added our Mustang Stardust to our herd, and all three of them are super bonded. So I'm really grateful because again, I just thought in my mind, what are we doing getting a Mustang? This is crazy. We don't need another horse. This is insane. And a Mustang, like a death wish, practically. And Stardust has been literally perfect for both of them. She's really strong. She literally throws her weight around. But you know what's really interesting is since I've taken the three of them and isolated them as their own herd, she's a different horse. Stardust, she respects Tansy as an elder and she protects Pearl.
Interesting.
Isn't that wild? Like Tansy's always protected Pearl. Tansy's always stood between Pearl and other horses when things get rowdy, knowing that Pearl can't keep up. And Stardust, I think, kind of figured something out early on, but sometimes I just sit at the barn and just, sit, right? Like you do among the horses. And regularly I catch Stardust and Pearl grooming each other. Like they are like bonded sisters. But now when Stardust is taken off property, Tansy calls for her.
Stardust.
Yep. So I really think that Stardust was meant to be a part of our herd for just this moment.
Let's take a quick break from this week's episode to talk about one of the Daily Ride podcast's sponsors. So, you all know that I spend a lot of time around horses, which means when I get home, I want to get comfy and I need to get cozy, and I really need good rest. So, I'm super excited to tell you that Cozy Earth has decided to partner with the Daily Ride, and I have an exclusive discount code to share. Their products are made from bamboo, so not only are they incredibly soft, like buttery soft, they're also temperature regulating, so I don't wake up sweaty anymore, and I just enjoy cool, dry, comfortable sleep. Plus, their sheets are lightweight and durable. And listen, I'm not the only one who loves these sheets. Oprah has had Cozy Earth on her favorite things list for 7 years running, and Kris Jenner swears by them too. They've even been called the world's softest sheets on the talk, and honestly, I would have to agree. They also have the coziest bamboo pajama sets. I think I have like 5 of them, and they're the perfect mix of elegant looking and super comfy, stretchy, and breathable. Basically, the kind of pajamas that you don't mind being seen in and don't want to take off. Cozy Earth has thousands of 5-star reviews, free shipping on orders over $50, and even a 100-night sleep trial so you can see for yourself risk-free. Plus, they back all of this up with a 10-year warranty. So here's the exciting deal. I got the very best discount that they offer, which is 41% off the entire website when you use my code TheDailyRide, no spaces, at CozyEarth.com. This takes 41% off of your entire order, and 15% of your purchase goes directly to True Heart Healing. So this is a win-win. You get their best discount, you're donating to True Heart Healing, and you get to enjoy the best sheets and pajamas ever. So head on over to www.CozyEarth.com and remember to use my code TheDailyRide, that's TheDailyRide at checkout for 41% off the entire website. Now, let's get back into it. So, when you put Pearl down, do you intend to leave space for Stardust to grieve her as well?
Yes, that was chosen very carefully because we are slotted to move to South Carolina in T minus 1 month. And so I needed to give both Stardust and Tansy time to grieve and time to readjust before I move them across the country. which is a huge adjustment. I'm not so worried about Tansy because she came from a very humid southern climate full of bugs and all the things. Stardust is she's from Oregon originally, then Idaho, now Colorado, and now South Carolina is going to be quite the shock. So we'll see how that goes. But at the end of the day, Pearl had a job. Pearl, I think if I could give Pearl a label, it's a therapy horse for people, but also horses. Like she's helped Tansy through hard stuff. So when Tansy had that Renovo injection, she had to be on stall rest for like 10 days to 2 weeks. She almost colicked twice. And I asked the Academy stables, I'm like, listen, Pearl has got to be near her because she is literally losing her mind. And I wanted to put them in the same stall, but they were like, that's a liability. We can't really do that. So I put them in the stall next to each other and they were happy as little clams, to have each other. But Pearl is therapy. She's therapy for anybody that meets her. She's the first one at the gate. To be truthful, she's motivated by food, but she's the first one at the gate. She comforts other horses that need comforting. She doesn't move fast. It's funny because putting her down, there's a common saying, I'm sure you've heard it, that like so and so's horse gave them wings, or my horse gave me wings. And Tansy has given me wings in a lot of ways. Pearl has never given anybody any wings. That horse doesn't move fast. There's nothing fast about her. I don't know. I mean, I've seen her run and frolic a few times for very short spurts, but like Pearl has never had the luxury of just running free. Truly, she's never been able to run free. She's never given anybody wings, especially me. But the amount of things that she has given me are so much better than wings. Like the knowledge, the companionship, the lessons. Like Pearl is the perfect name for her because pearls are formed from a grit of sand that gets stuck in a shell. And then it forms a pearl over time, getting tossed by the waves. And that has been Pearl's life. She has been tossed and tossed and tossed, and she has been made into the most perfect pearl. And, horses that are in pain and discomfort, as you probably know, they pin their ears. They don't want to be ridden. They don't want anybody to get on them. They don't want to be given a job. They want nothing to do with anything. They're just in pain. And Pearl, even to this day, she's on pain meds. She still limps around a little bit, but she's always so happy. She's always so willing. She will carry kids around in a circle for parties like she was born to do it. She lets my daughter run in and out of her legs. She'll let you do literally anything to her. I mean, she is a unicorn without the horn, truly. But I just find it wild and fascinating that living a life of chronic pain and discomfort, and she hasn't ever once given me any reason to complain or hate her life or anything. Like that horse is pure joy.
So tell me about your husband's relationship with your horses.
My husband is massive and he doesn't fit on either of my horses. Definitely not Pearl. Tansy taught him to ride, but after about 30 minutes, she'd be like, okay, get off. Like, I'm done with you. And I think just given like she's tall, but she's a very lean frame, that old leg injury. And, he's 250 plus pounds, massive human, just big. And I got him to watch Heartland, which was such a mistake. And then he's like, I think I want a Mustang and I want a mare because I want a fiery, spirited horse like you have in Tansy. And I just think I really want a Mustang mare. And I was like, all right, someone with no horse experience that wants a Mustang mare. That sounds like a really ambitious ask, but okay. I really just did. I was like, they're like, they run pretty small, right? Like short, stocky. And he's like, yeah, I know. I'll find one. I'm like, okay. And I was like, he's not gonna find one. And he comes home from work one day. He's like, so my buddy's sister does Mustang makeover in Idaho, and she's got a prospect for me, and I think we're just gonna go pick her up. And I was like, no, no. And then he's like, yeah, she comes from this herd where like they have drafty in their blood, so they're really big. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's done it. He's found a freaking Mustang mare. Yeah, she's a big girl, but she's doing amazing.
So tell me about the trip to go get her and bring her home.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna make it short though. So apparently she tried to colic right before we went to get her. So we were told she couldn't be brought down from northern Idaho to Boise where we were gonna pick her up. So when we got to Boise, we would have to make the couple-hour trip up north to grab her and then bring her back down. Mind you, this is all happening over like New Year's break. And my husband is Army, so you have to be gone and then come back by a certain time. So we go up there, we drop the trailer for the night, take a good night's sleep. And then the next day we were told it was a 2-hour drive to this lady's house. It was a 4-hour drive one way. So 8 hours round trip Took us some time to get her in the trailer because she was not well trained yet. Just a baby, like a baby. And she was just very fearful. Well, we got her in January of 2021. So she was like just shy of 2. But she has been, as you know, very slow to mature, very much a baby. And she was pretty small still. So the girl that we got her from was getting out of horses. She was selling everything and had not done much with Stardust. And her name was Gypsy at the time, not fitting at all. And she really just tried to scare her into everything. She tried to scare her into our trailer and scare her doing this and scare her into doing that. And I just was like, let me just take over because we have to do a trailer ride again over the next couple of days. And I don't want this to be traumatic. So we got her on the trailer. We're headed back to Boise, and it's like mountain passes and there's snow on the road and it's not ideal. And it is New Year's Eve, by the way. And we hit a rock in the road we didn't see, shredded one of the truck tires, and apparently on a stretch of highway that an accident had happened not long prior to that and had taken down one of their telephone poles. So we had like no service. It was in like a 2-mile stretch with absolutely no service. A saint of a woman stopped by. Was like, I will get the tow truck locally. I'm local, so I'll help you. It took a guy like hours to get to us because, again, New Year's Eve. We couldn't take the trailer off the truck. We couldn't take the horse off the trailer. So we had to jack the truck up with the trailer, with the horse in the trailer, use the spare tire just to get back to Boise, like only to drive the spare tire to Boise because it technically wasn't the same tire. I think just as midnight is rolling in. Like they're like, they had just said Happy New Year. We had just missed it. And then the next day, since it's New Year's Day, no tire shops are open. So we're stuck there another day. We went to the barn. We worked with Stardust on getting her on and off the trailer, trying to just desensitize her more. Figured we might as well make use of our time. So we get the tire situation fixed. That was a whole other nightmare, but not worth the story. And we finally get the tires we need. We're on the road. It's about midnight. We're at the Wyoming border area. I just hear this weird sound, like a scissor sound. And we look and there's like sparks in the side mirror, like down where the trailer is. And so we get out to check it out. And like the literal wheel falls off of the axle on the trailer. There's nothing we can do. Like, it's toast. So it's midnight and we are calling around. We end up calling the brand inspector, comes out at like 2 or 3 in the morning with a trailer to take Stardust to a guy I had called locally that let us keep her there overnight. We go to get Stardust off the trailer, and my husband's handling one of those bungee trailer ties, and he's walking her with this bungee trailer tie, and a semi truck goes by, freaks her out. She breaks the trailer tie. I wish I was making this up. She is loose down the highway. Oh no. An unbroke, not even 2-year-old Mustang baby that we just picked up for $500, just running down the highway at 3 in the morning in the middle of Wyoming nowhere. And I was like, well, she's going to get hit. We did this for nothing. We're so screwed. Also, I'm a couple months pregnant at this point, so I'm very hormonal. I am beside myself. I'm just in tears. He's like, "You have to stop freaking out." And I'm like, "She's loose and she's gonna die." It's just so bad. So the brand inspector comes and we can't really get her. So the brand inspector leaves to go grab grain and a gelding, hoping to lure her in. We ended up actually corralling her into this area where like a cow fence meets a guardrail. And then we kind of like jackhammered the truck and the stock trailer to just kind of like, this is the only way you can go. But we all know Mustangs can jump high fences. So we're just hopeful, fingers crossed. She sees that gelding and she was like, oh, a friend. Waltzes onto that trailer like she's done it 1,000,000 times. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. By the time we get this horse to this man's property, like safe and sound tucked in for the night, it's like 4:30 in the morning. They won't answer at the motel, so we sleep in the truck. We found a trailer repair shop that would take the trailer. I call my dad and Jackie at the Air Force Academy. My dad's going to borrow Jackie's trailer and drive to rescue us in his truck. And we leave my trailer there. And my dad arrives at like 3 p.m. the next day. I mean, he left at like 6 a.m. He gets to us at like 3 p.m. And then there's all these wind warnings and like half the highways are shut down because semis are falling over. And I am like white knuckling it all the way back because I'm like, if one more thing happens trying to get this horse home, I'm going to lose my mind. And like, I was so unsure about getting this horse in the first place. And I was like, now we're definitely never selling her. It was way too much work to get her here. She's ours forever. No ifs, ands, or buts. And honestly, like, again, just with the current circumstances, I could not be more thankful that we have that horse. And she's turning into such a wonderful riding horse partner. It turns out adopting horses that have like trust issues or fear issues, like if you can get them past that, they will do anything for you. Anything. Yeah. I mean, she's getting there, but
Yeah, Stardust is a little jumpy. I remember the first time I was walking up to get Grace from the paddock and I flipped my hair over my shoulder. And of course, Stardust is like a huge puppy and following me around. And there's this hot breath on my ear. And she's like, "What are you doing? Who are you? Do you have cookies for me?" And I had flipped my hair over my shoulder and she was like, "Oh my gosh, whoa," and jumped out of her skin, which was not a small event to witness because she is a ginormous horse.
she's a big girl. Yeah.
So what was going to get her like for you? Were you thinking about like, what is this lesson? Like you have the weather working against you, all these other like fluke problems going down while you were trying to bring her home. Did you ever think there was like a God thing going on there or a lesson he was trying to teach you?
I was just so hormonal that I was just over it, really. And like, if you think of how I acquired my other horses, it was similar, just different circumstances, but like facing a lot of challenges. And that's what horse ownership is, right? I meet people that either they just barely met me or they don't really know me. And even people who have known me a while, they're like, man, horses are expensive. Man, horses are this. Man, horses are that. Like, it is a lifestyle. It is a commitment. It is, I mean, I don't go on vacation much. I tell people all the time I can't have nice things. And I like I have some nice things, but like generally speaking, I live and work currently so that I can like uphold my horse lifestyle. Like I don't go on vacation much. I could go on vacation a lot. I have a very successful, lucrative business that I started myself, and it's been thriving for 5 years. I am top in my industry. Having said that, vet bills are a lot. Putting a horse down, and I don't show. I have a trailer, a 1998 trailer, and, like, I could trade it in and get something else, but, like, it runs and it keeps my horses safe and it does the job. We did just buy a brand new truck. I have had horses for 12 years and I've had a truck for 6 months, and it's been magical, but it's a lot. Trucks are not cheap. Maintenance on the truck, just all the things. Horses are a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for a thing. So getting Stardust and like all the challenges that brought us to where we are, there's a lot of times where you want to throw in the towel and quit, but the other side is so much better. Like when you have a horse that will do anything for you, they'll walk through fire for you, they will try anything for you. It makes all the blood, sweat, and tears worth it. And like that's been true with Tansy. It's been true with Pearl, and now it's ringing true with Stardust. And they're all three very different horses. Like obviously Tansy and Pearl are bonded, and Stardust is a completely different animal. But like each and every individual way, challenges that I've had with each of them have taught me new things and different things, and translated into life itself, not just the horse world, but like I'm a more well-rounded individual because of my horses. And like I've gone through some really really dark times, and I've been through counseling. I think everybody needs counseling at one point or another in their life. But there were times where I would be done with counseling and I would go to the barn to just decompress and breathe. There's times where my horses have literally walked me home while I'm sobbing. And this is my horse that like likes to be in front, likes to run home. Like literally she will run home. She knows the way. We go fast. And that horse walked me home the day I found out my grandma died. I found out while I was on the trail, and I was crying so much I could not see. And she walked me home, walked me home. Yeah. Like they're so sensitive. They know their people so well. But the thing is like the relationship I have with Tansy did not happen overnight. I didn't just start riding her. It was walking her through the woods over logs and tree branches, and like her ducking her head, and me having to slow down because my legs aren't as long, and her having to compensate for me and me compensating for her. It's all the things that translate into a relationship. That's what matters. And, so recently I just had my friend Kristen take me out on the trails on USAFA, because that's where my horses and I have spent majority of our time together is USAFA. And there's this beautiful patch of wildflowers. It's my favorite. And I've gone up there countless times all by myself. And it's just beautiful and peaceful. And I call it my field. It's not, but To me, it is my field. And we're walking up there, and she was talking about how she loves photographing my horses because they'll literally let me do anything. They'll stand still. I can take their halters and leads off, and they're not going to run away. I can literally do anything with them. And she's like, man, I've photographed other horses and they're just so naughty. And I'm like, well, there's a lot that goes into horse ownership. And like, I have my views on it. And it doesn't mean that I'm 100% right, but just in my experience, there are things that make horses better. And I really strongly, firmly believe that letting horses be horses to the best of your ability is the best thing you can do for their mind. Keeping them turned out, keeping them in a herd, letting them just be. And like that's where I've learned the most from them is them just being allowed to be horses. And they experience a freedom in that. And it's almost like they want to thank you for that. Like, thanks for letting me just be me. Instead of trying to put them in this little box and making them do things they don't want to do. Like, my horses are gated and I've taken gated lessons and I think it's cool that they gate, but it's not what Tansy likes to do. So I don't make her do it because she doesn't love it. And I'm not saying that we couldn't get to the point, but like, why not do the things that we already know that we love together that make us feel bonded, which is just exploring the trails.
I think you do an excellent job making space for her to be who she is. And that's also a piece of your faith in God and Jesus and knowing that He always makes space for you and accepts you just how you are.
Just how I am, and that's what they've done for me. And that's the thing is, like, you know me, I love to take pictures, and I have a couple pictures that I really love of times that I've been out on Tansy, just in the woods, and, like, my hair's not done, and I'm disheveled, and I've got a couple zits here or there, and, like, she doesn't care about that. What she wants is for me to show up. So, like, for me to not go to the barn because 'cause I'm not gonna look great in any pictures I take, like, why would I do that? Like, I'm not even at the weight I wanna be right now. I don't really love where I'm at right now, but she loves me anyway. And I love that about her. Like, she has no expectation except for me to just show up. And I remember when I had first got her and I was like on my own, I didn't have the rescue helping me, and I was just like truly on my own in horse ownership. And I was like trying to figure out, I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't afford lessons. I can't afford any kind of instruction unless someone's willing to just, out of the great goodness of their heart, give me guidance. Like, I was on my own, and I was at Tractor Supply, and I was literally, like, with tears in my eyes looking at bits. I had watched so many videos on bits on YouTube, and I was just like, "I don't know what bit she needs. I don't know how much pounds per pressure. I don't know if I need a shank. I don't know if I need an egg butt. I don't know if I need a hackamore." Like, I didn't know what to do. And I'm just like, and I was told by the rescue, "You move them around too much. It's so stressful." And the girl at Tractor Supply in Kentucky put her hand on my shoulder and she was just like, "I really think that if it's always just you, if you're with her when you move her around, and like if you're the one trying new bits, like as long as it's you doing it, like I think she'll be okay. I'm the consistent thing." And like, I don't know this chick, like she was just some chick at Tractor Supply. And she gave me like some of the best advice. Like, as long as I'm the constant, like they're going to be fine. And they have been because I've been there. My horses, I mean, truth be told, I'm the food lady. And when you have horses that have been starved for a long period of time, you showing up with food is like the best part of the day. Mhm. My horses, I still give them treats and stuff. And Tansy does this thing where she nickers and you can't really hear it, but you can see her nostrils. And every time I pull up, if she's not right near me, sometimes she'll nicker a little bit, but like it's like her greeting, like her hello to me. And it's just she doesn't do that for anybody else, just me. And it's just super special. Yeah, love that.
Tell me about your daughter and her interactions with your horses.
I'm a little nervous. Of course, I want my daughter to be the horse girl that I am, but I don't ever want to force her into that. I want her to do what she loves. I think the day I'll have a heart attack is the day my daughter's like, "I want to do barrel racing," or "I want to do something super dangerous. I want to trick ride." I'm going to be like, "No." But taking her out there, obviously the horses are very big, but I have, pictures and videos of Virginia and her baby carrier, her car seat, just sitting on like the tailgate of the truck and the horse is just coming over and sniffing her. And I was in a bad accident when pregnant too. So like there's definitely a lot of, intertwining moments. But, Pearl, I think Virginia was just freaked out at their sheer size at first, when she was a baby and they would nuzzle her, she would, cry a little bit, nothing crazy, but just a little bit. And the first couple times, I put her up there, she was really afraid. And I want her to not be afraid because there's nothing to be afraid of with mine, at least. I mean, I think it's good to respect a horse's size, but like, they're gentle giants. And I'd put her up there and she'd cry and I'd just show her like, "You're okay," But, at this point, like, when we're at home, she doesn't come up to me and say, "I wanna go to the barn." But she does say that Pearl is hers. She's like, "Pearl is my horse." And if I get on, she's like, "No, that's mine." So she definitely has laid claim to them as hers, which is adorable. But at the end of the day, I think it's her interest now because it's my interest. And again, I don't want to push it on her, but I'm hoping that in time, the things like relationship and trust and all the things that you can get from horse ownership, all of it. Yeah, I just hope that she sees that value. It's funny because, like, even if we go to the barn and all we're doing is scooping poop and cleaning, she'll go grab a rake and do it with us. So I think it's teaching her a lot of things. If we're there for a long period of time, she'll look at me and say, "Mommy, I'm ready to go home," which I think is fine. But, I have videos of her in a onesie playing in the dirt. And, I took her to the Air Force Academy and in the arena and in a onesie, and I'm like, "Don't do this, don't do that." And then I was like, "You know what? Screw it. Like, if you wanna play in the dirt, play in the dirt. It's fine." So, I love that she has figured out ways to be creative outside. I don't know if you've seen on my Instagram, I have an absolutely stunning video of me riding Tansy and Virginia's riding tandem with me, like, both of us riding on Tansy, and we came up on the owls in the wooded area, and I heard them initially, and then I find them, and like the whole video is Virginia just admiring the wildlife while on Tansy, which is like exactly what I love. And like how many little kids get to go trail ride with their mom and have like these sweet intimate moments with owls and birds and coyotes and all the things, and nothing phases Tansies. Like 100% Virginia's safe on Tansy. And Tansy rides different when Virginia's on her.
I was going to ask, did you see a change in Tansy while you were pregnant?
Oh yeah, yeah. She was so like gentle with me, and I was the one with the need for speed. So, it was like me having to reel that in and Tansy respecting that. I do have to like Stardust isn't aggressive by any means, but sometimes she's just unaware. So I have to be careful with Virginia and Stardust. But I think give it like 5 or 6 more years and her awareness will be higher. Virginia's knowledge and know-how will be better. And yeah, and I can just see it now. Virginia's gonna be like, "I want to do Gymkhana on Stardust," and I'm like, "No." But I also want to raise her to be a tough cookie, and with there, there's risk in everything you do. It doesn't matter if it's horses, snowboarding, even hiking. Like there's risk in everything, and so why not love what you do?
How have your horses responded to Virginia?
Definitely Tansy and Pearl, protect her quite a bit, but they've spent a lot of time around kids. It's sweet because Stardust is really curious, but just like you said, if like sudden movements or whatever, and she's just kind of jumpy. But it's funny because Stardust doesn't like jump and then run off. She jumps and then comes back in and is like, "Wait a minute, you smell different," or "You're really short. Why are you all the way down there?" Very, very curious. But just as Virginia's getting bigger, she knows, she'll point to Stardust and go, "That's daddy's." I think it's really sweet because Tansy and Pearl are mother-daughter, and me and Virginia are mother-daughter. And there's just a weird, unexplainable, indescribable, like, known, like, unspoken bond that we all share, and I have a few very sweet pictures that I'll treasure forever of Virginia on Pearl and me on Tansy, and us just all 4 going out, and we're just like a little group, like, we're our own little thing, and, I've done 2 deployments now with my daughter, where it's just been me and her, and, like, I'm not a single mom, but I've gone through periods where it feels like I'm a single mom, and it's like Tansy has shown me how to do it, and she's like an emotional support, a physical support, and a spiritual support. She's all the things, so it's really special.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Daily Ride podcast. Man, it was hard to find the best place to pause our conversation between episodes. Thank you so much for listening. I know that something that Becky shared resonated with you in your life. I would love to hear exactly what that is in the comments section down below. If you are enjoying this podcast, it would really be helpful to give us a rating and a review, and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss when the second part of this conversation is published in 2 weeks. Again, thank you so much for being here. From True Heart and I both, we look forward to talking to you next time. And until then, enjoy the ride.